Commodore, my 64, my Commodore 64.
It's the year 1500. You are an Aztec warrior and you've just been picked for sacrifice by the priests. Congratulations? Your only way out is to survive a brutal obstacle course designed to test your worth. Make it through and you'll walk free. Fail and, well, I hope you combed your hair this morning because your severed head is going to be on display by nightfall. This is the wild premise of the classic Aztec Challenge for the Commodore 64. So steel yourself, warrior, grab your loincloth, dodge those spears, and get ready to face one of the most infamous tests of pixelated endurance ever made. The story of Aztec Challenge begins back in 1981. High school student Robert Bonifacio created a side-scroller for Atari 8-bit computers called the Boniface. The idea was simple: run as far as you can while dodging spikes, pits, platforms, and other hazards. This might actually be the first ever endless runner game. Bonifacio released the game through the Atari Program Exchange, Atari's mail-order division. Within a week, a small publisher called Cosmi scooped it up, slapped on a new title, Aztec Challenge, and added a few extras before releasing it themselves. It sold well enough that Cosmi gave it a graphical facelift and re-released it for Atari computers in 1983. Meanwhile, across town, a young musician named Paul Norman was teaching himself 6502 programming while working at a failing software shop called Synchro. When Cosmi came in to buy their leftover office furniture, they noticed Norman's side project, a game that would later become Forbidden Forest. Instead of just leaving with some filing cabinets, Cosmi also picked him up on the spot. Not a bad day at the office. By now, the Commodore 64 market was booming, and Cosmi wanted to bring Aztec Challenge over. They gave the job to Norman, who, rather than porting the Atari version, ended up creating a completely new game from scratch. The only thing it shared with the original was the name. Norman admitted he wasn't a huge gamer and didn't really know the rules when it came to game design. That might sound like a red flag, but it gave Aztec Challenge a fresh and distinctive style. Its strange level layouts and unusual control schemes helped make it memorable. As for Cosmi, they went from Aztec sacrifices to clip art CDs and hung around for decades. In the 90s and beyond, they shifted into the type of discount titles you'd find at Walmart, Best Buy, or even your local grocery store. Think bargain bin collections of 100 games, cheap productivity tools, fonts, maps, you name it. They rebranded as ValueSoft Cosmi in 2012 after picking up THQ's budget software division, and briefly operated as Play Hard Games before being acquired by Ziggurat Interactive in 2020. Ziggurat dissolved them soon after, but the ValueSoft Cosmi brand still lives on here and there. In Aztec Challenge, you play as a warrior in Tenochtitlan, capital of the Aztec Empire, who must survive 7 deadly trials. Each level has its own controls, perspective, and hazards. It's basically 7 minigames stitched together. There's no saving, checkpoints, or helpful hints. It's just you, your reflexes, and a buffet of creative ways to die. The first, and probably most memorable level, is called the Gauntlet. You're sprinting towards a temple while endless warriors hurl spears at your face. Sometimes you jump, sometimes you duck, sometimes you just guess and hope the gods are on your side. The music builds, the temple looms closer, and your nerves turn to jelly. Miss once and you're kebab meat, right back to the start. It's a challenging, some would say brutal, start to the game, and many weren't able to pass it. But with enough practice and a steady hand, you'll reach the end and progress to the second level, the stairs. Now you are running up the face of the temple, dodging massive stone blocks that are tumbling towards you. Moving side to side are your only options here, and one slip and you're flattened like a tortilla. But tough as it is, this is one of the easier levels in the game and almost feels like a bit of a breather after the Gauntlet. Level 3 is the temple, which throws falling blocks, pits, spears, and spikes at you. Your only defense? Stop by pushing left or jump by pushing right. That's it. 2 directions, endless ways to get killed. Timing is everything, and the temple does not forgive. Next up is level 4, the Vermin. Now deep in the dark heart of the temple, you're swarmed by all manner of creepy crawlies. The trick here is mastering high and low jumps to avoid their venom. Brief contact is okay, but hang around too long and you're dinner. Getting past the Vermin means facing Hopaztec, or the Tiles, as it's called in the game manual. It's quite possibly the cruelest memory game ever designed. You cross a room filled with tiles, many of which are booby-trapped. Step on the wrong one and spears come flying from the walls. You get 5 tries to memorize the safe path, because apparently human sacrifice wasn't stressful enough without adding Simon Says. Now that we're through that, it's time for the Pirahna. Now you're swimming through the lake around Tenochtitlan, avoiding man-eating fish. You can dive for a second or two, but they're fast and relentless. Get caught and you'll witness one of the most infamous death animations on the Commodore 64. Chomp chomp, game over. Finally, level 7 and you're just a hop, skip, and jump away from freedom. The final test is a rickety bridge riddled with holes stretched across a canyon. You've got to nail short, medium, and long jumps, or you'll plummet onto the rocks below. Survive and you win your freedom. Well, sort of, because in true 1980s fashion, the game immediately dumps you back into level 1, this time harder. Get through that, and you do it all again, but by night. This is how we did things in the 80s, folks. The gameplay of Aztec Challenge is varied and memorable, and the audio visuals are right there with it. Graphically, the game is impressive. Each level has its own look, animations are smooth, and the sprite designs add plenty of character. Personal highlights include the way the temple looms closer in level 1, the massive Aztec carving in level 3, and the gorgeous water animation and infamous death scene in the Pirahna stage. All of these give the game a distinct cinematic style that stood out in 1983. But for as good as the graphics are, the sound design is even better. Paul Norman was a musician first, and you can tell. His compositions build atmosphere and tension in a way few games manage. Each level starts with just a hint of music, slowly layering in as you progress. It's clever. The soundtrack itself is a measure of how close you are to completion. It's especially powerful in the Gauntlet. The spears are bad enough, but the rising score adds significant tension, making that one missed jump even more brutal because you know how close you were to finishing. The Commodore 64 Appreciation Society absolutely adores Aztec Challenge, and we're not alone. Back in the day, your Commodore gave it 4 out of 5 stars, calling it one of the best games around and praising its high standards for graphics and sound. Commodore user rated it 17 out of 20, applauding the visuals and variety. The one recurring complaint? Difficulty. The game is brutal, stressful even, and plenty of players never made it past the first level. Fast forward to today and it still holds up. On Lemon 64 it carries a 7.81 score, which puts it in that strong second tier games just outside their top 100. Not bad. And the spirit of Aztec Challenge remains alive today. In 2002, fans recreated the game on the Atari 2600 as a VCS Tech Challenge, and in 2005, Mercy Remakes released a Windows version of the iconic Gauntlet level. More recently, browser versions and fan projects have continued to pop up, keeping Aztec Challenge in circulation decades after its original release. In short, it's brilliant, gorgeous, and tough, or in other words, exactly what an arcade-style game should be. No matter how many times those spears hit me, it'll always remain one of my favorites. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving a like or subscribing. And if you have any tales of getting skewered by spears, flattened on stairs, or devoured by pixelated piranhas, I'd love to hear them. Drop them in the comments below. Hope to see you again.